Welcome to another Cardano update. So as you can see, Cardano is currently dropping below the 0.786 support level right here, and I think it's very likely that we test the trend line again. Now, before I talk about this trend line and the Elliott wave count on the Cardano chart, I actually want to talk about the Bitcoin chart, because at the end of the day, whatever Bitcoin does, Cardano follows it. So maybe we can get an idea of what the price might do next based on what Bitcoin is doing right now. So if you look at the Bitcoin chart, Bitcoin is currently getting a correction. As you can see, we are close to the 0.382 extension, and in my opinion, we need to test it at least. And in my opinion, I mean, this only looks like an A wave, so maybe we'll get a B wave after we test it, and then another C wave to 64K, and that will complete the correction, because as you can see, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup, and we need some kind of correction first before we can continue to the upside. Now, let me remind you what we're doing right here. So after getting this roll in August of 2024, we formed a 1, 2, 3 setup to form a first wave move. Then we went down into a second wave move. And then after that, we went up in an A-B structure, and we are currently trying to go in a C wave to the upside. Now, we did get 5 waves after this B wave, so this confirms that the B wave low is in and that we are heading in a C wave. But that does not mean that we will do it in a straight line, and it could still fail. And if we do not manage to hold this support level right now, and if we dropped below 61K, we will most likely get another B wave low before we continue with the C wave. Now, I don't see that happening, to be honest with you, because as you can see, Bitcoin went down about 3K and we are almost oversold on the 4 hour. And if you look at what happened the previous few times when we got oversold on the 4 hour, for example, right here, as you can see here, we were at 58K, and then we got oversold and we went to about 70K. So maybe it's safe to assume that we will get like 75K or maybe even 80K by the end of the month, because, you know, we're almost oversold. And the last 2 times we got oversold, as you can see, we went up just a couple of days later. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with this. And like I said, if we do get a correction on the Bitcoin chart, we are not really allowed to go below the 0.786 support level. So if this is a major correction, we need to stay above that level. And if we don't, if we somehow drop here, the invalidation point for this is at about $58,000. So if we drop below $58,000, that would invalidate the B wave, and we would have to get another low, which will most likely test the trend line before we continue with the C wave. Now you have to keep in mind, Bitcoin does not usually go down in October, so I don't think we will go down, but you know, it's a possibility. And at the end of the day, we are still below this trend line, as you can see, so we still need to test it again, and we still need to break all-time highs first to confirm that something more bullish is actually going on. I mean, we are still going sideways at the end of the day, so we have to break out of this first, and then we can go to the all-time highs and hopefully get to 100K by the end of the year. So let's say Bitcoin drops like 64K. If that happens, Cardano will most likely suffer, and we will most likely test this trend line again, like I said, and this is about 34 cents. However, there is a chance that we drop below the trend line, because, you know, if Bitcoin drops like 3K, you cannot expect Cardano to only drop like 1 cent. So maybe we will drop below it, maybe we will not. I don't know what will happen right now, and to be honest with you, it's kind of difficult to say what will happen. I mean, Cardano is also going sideways right now. It has been going sideways for a very long time, so it's hard to say what will happen. I do have an Elliott wave count on the chart, which is still, you know, available. But yeah, I mean, this structure could break down at any minute, and we could always break down below the support levels and below the trend line, and we could always get another second wave move down, because we don't have 5 waves up. We only have these 2 waves right here, and we are still to complete a third wave move to the upside. As you can see, we only have an A-B structure of this third wave, and I still need a third wave move to the upside, like I said many times. So yeah, until we get to like 52.7 cents, I cannot confirm that we have actually bottomed in the second wave move down right here. And even if we get to like 52.7 cents, I mean, that's only the third wave target. We'll still need a fourth wave and then a fifth wave move up. And once we get the 5 waves, I will be able to confirm that the low is in. Until then, yeah, this is just going to be noise. And I also have this weight count on this chart. I mean, I have this 1, 2 setup, which, you know, it looks fine. And maybe you could say that we have already bottomed in the second wave move down right here, but then again, the pump that we got after this move was only a 3-wave move, and I mean, maybe you could say that the correction is in because this looks like an ABC structure, but it's a very messy ABC structure, so we'd have to wait and see what happens with this. Let me actually get rid of this, okay? And, to confirm that something more bullish is going on, we need a pump that gets to at least 40.9 cents, which is the 200% extension of this 1-2 setup right here. And then of course, to confirm that the B wave low is in, we need 5 waves to the upside, and right now we only have 2 waves. Now, keep in mind, Cardano is still in an uptrend right now, which is good. And, if we want to become bullish, if we want to turn bullish, we have to get above the bull market support band, and then we have to break out of this pattern and finally get to the 3rd wave highs right here. Now, I also want to talk about Bitcoin dominance. As I've mentioned a lot of times in my previous videos, Bitcoin dominance will most likely top at 60%, and then we will get the altcoin season. And I still think that will happen, but it's difficult to say when that will happen because, there's only 1 week left of October, and if it does not talk in October, it's going to become very likely that we go down in November, and then we pump again in December. Now, why am I saying that? Well, if you did not watch my previous videos, I want you to know that each year in the past 7 years, the Bitcoin dominance went down in November. So as you can see, it went down in 2023, it went down in 2022, it went down in 2021, it went down in 2020, just before we had this huge pump on the Bitcoin dominance chart, and just before we actually finished the Bitcoin dominance pump of the cycle. And that continued. In 2019, we also closed a red wick, and in 2018, we did close a green wick, but as you can see, we still dropped. So we still went from about 58% to about 53%. So, Bitcoin dominance still dropped in November. And let's continue with 2017. In 2017, we also went down on the Bitcoin downwards chart. We went from about 68% to about 49%, which is a 20% drop. And if we continue with 2016, as you can see in 2016, we also went down. Now, there's something interesting about this. This was a halving year, and as you can see, in the previous 2 months before November, Bitcoin dominance was going up. And then it went down in 2016, and it continued going down, and that's when the altcoin season actually started in 2017. So after we went down in November, Bitcoin dominance actually continued going down in December and January as well. And then in February, it tried going up, but then the next month, it just failed, and we got this huge altcoin season. So I don't know which cycle we will copy. I don't know if we will copy what we did over here, or if we will copy what we did in the previous cycle. It's really hard to say, to be honest with you. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, because, at the end of the day, nobody can really predict this. But in my opinion, we should get an altcoin season very, very soon. Now let's continue with 2015. As you can see in 2015, which was not a halving year, we actually went up in November and we went down in December and January. So, this was not a halving year, so I cannot really compare what happened here to what's happening right now, but still, I think this is also important. And we can also talk about 2014. As you can see in 2014, we also went down. So, yeah. It's hard to say what will happen this year, but, judging at least by what happened in the previous few years, maybe it's safe to assume that Bitcoin dominance will start going down in November. But then again, if it does go down, I think, Cardano will be able to form some kind of 5-wave move to the upside during that time. And I think it's going to be very likely that we get to about, let's say, 60 cents or so in November. And then if for some reason Bitcoin dominance decides that it wants to go up in December, then I think that's going to be the perfect time for Cardano to get this 4th wave move, or maybe a 2nd wave move down right here and get a correction before it starts its 3rd wave move to the upside at the end of December of this year. So yeah, you have to keep in mind that the invalidation point for this 1-2 setup is at 22 cents. So we kind of have to stay above that level to remain bullish. And yeah, we are at an uptrend. ADA is looking pretty fine. And also I want to talk about ADA Bitcoin as well for a quick second. ADA Bitcoin keeps putting in lower lows, which is normal because this is just following the Bitcoin dominance chart. I mean, as you can see, ADA Bitcoin only went down in this cycle, and if you look at what happened to the Bitcoin dominance chart, Bitcoin dominance only went up. So 8-up Bitcoin is just the Bitcoin dominance chart upside down. So of course it's putting in lower lows if the Bitcoin dominance chart is putting in new tops for this cycle. So yeah, Cardano is still looking good. It's holding support levels, and I'm still expecting a third wave. And I'm still expecting Cardano to top somewhere between $5.30 and $8.40. But I think $8 is a bit too much. Maybe we'll touch the trend line here and get like $7. And I'm expecting Cardano to top somewhere between, let's say, March and maybe June or May of 2025. And yeah, it will top way more than Bitcoin, in my opinion. I think Bitcoin will top somewhere between September and October of 2025. I think it's very likely that Cardano tops a few months earlier, because that's what usually happens. As you can see here, in the previous cycle, Cardano topped in September. And if you look at when Bitcoin topped, Bitcoin actually topped in November, which was 2 months later. So, you know, maybe we'll do the exact same thing in this cycle as well. We have to wait and see. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you really enjoyed this video, check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon to support the channel and to get access to all of our charts. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.